Seems to be dynamite and also fertilizer in 2 containers, and somehow they got ignited. Unfortunately, it seems like 2 people have died, although that's the initial appraisal. They're still searching the area.
Explosion, yeah, an explosion of, well, a bad explosion by Rayneau today. Yeah, man. About 3 people end up dying. I almost lose my life in the same thing too.
Take us back to March 21st, 2017.
I had gone to the quarry myself, and I had actually just gone in to show somebody something, and I left. I had stayed there maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, and drove out. And my construction on the cul-de-sac project had commenced at that time, so that would have been last year. And I had driven to that site. And while on that site, I was still in my vehicle. I heard the boom. Nowhere in my mind did I ever think, imagine it would have been coming from the quarry. I actually thought it was something that had happened at that dump site. And then I waited, and then I saw that cloud. I still didn't know. However, when it happened, my first reaction was to call Simon, and he did not answer. But that was not unusual anyway, because he still never used to answer his phone in the past. So I didn't take it for anything. However, my second call was to a guy by the name of Robert in the quarry. And he gave me the news that I never wanted to hear. And that's how I learned that there was an incident at the quarry. What did I do next? I sat in the van and I said to myself, I need to focus now more than ever. By that time, I knew it would have taken too long for the ambulance to get to the quarry. So I called back to Robert and said to him, do not wait for ambulance. Anybody who gets hurt, just pick them up and take them to the hospital. And I sat on my phone from about 10 to 5, or 5, I think it was 5, just 10 to 5 or so, till 10:30 in the night. I stayed right on that site. I did not move. I didn't start my van, and I was on my phone consistently, just ensuring that I put everything in place for everybody. I called Martinique. I called Keegan Cox at Slasper for him to keep the airports open. I called for the air ambulance. I called for the doctors. I called for everybody. So all I did was stay there and put everything in place. Even when they had called me and told me the people were at the hospital, I did not want to go. I did not want to go and see. I wanted to stay focused to make sure that I put everything in place for everybody else. And that is how I handled that first day. By about 7 o'clock, I got the call that Simon had died. So at that time, you could imagine how I would have to deal with a situation like that.
Take me back to Simon's funeral. You are in that church, and everybody else there has their own perception of what happened. And inevitably, whether you were involved or not, the fingers point to you.
During the whole funeral proceeding, I remained focused until the eulogy. And that was when I really broke down.
Ray, what happened in that quarry that day?
I do not know exactly what happened in the quarry that day. I can only say what I was told. At the time, Simon is the one who generally runs the operations. He knows everything that goes on there. And Kodra, who was the main man at the crushing and blasting operations, was there at the time. They were both certified blasters, and they were both aware and trained in the use of explosives. Even at the time when the smoke in the container was coming up, I was told that Simon had left all the way by the block plant when he had seen the smoke and drove past to go up to tell all the guys to get out of the area. But he himself went right in front of the container. And right at that time is when the explosion took place.
So there was welding happening at that container?
Apparently, there was welding happening at the container at the time.
What was inside of that container?
Ammonium nitrate.
And it's used for?
Ammonium nitrate is used in blasting. It's actually a fertilizer, but it's an explosive fertilizer. So under normal conditions, it is not an explosive. Under right conditions, it becomes an explosive. It just happened that it became an explosive because the container was locked. A fire apparently had caught inside the container, and Kodra went and he opened the container. And the second he opened it, it got air and the fire got bigger, and that's what caused the explosion.